And when you use these, and you're making a plate, you don't want a whole lot of thread sticking through there. So you got to have a sufficient washer. You got to have a right size washer. And on this particular one, I've only got a 3/8 inch hole, which doesn't seem like much, but that's all I drilled in this. This is a piece of cherry.
How deep do you drill? About half inch?
3/8 of an inch.
Oh, 3/8 deep.
That's how deep I drilled that.
Okay.
And so I made me a spacer that sticks out almost 3/8 of an inch.
3/8?
3/8 mine.
I'm behind you, so.
And I did this earlier today, and I left some wood mess on it.
Half inch would be too deep?
Pardon? Not for this piece of cherry. It was too deep for the piece that I was turning earlier today. But I didn't make up another spacer.
Hey Jerry, how thick is your piece you're going to turn? 5/4?
1 1/8.
1 1/8? I don't think so.
1 3/32. 1 1/16. If you're doing production turning, you just have your lathe running and just hold that up there and do a Richard Raffin on it. I'm going to bring a tailstock up for safety purposes. Might be slightly tall.
Is that custom made standard?
Pardon?
Is that a custom standard?
Yeah, Patrick made this for the club. Got Flatland Woodturners on it. He must have measured me because it's awful close. Wear your face mask. Clean it first. Okay, I'm going to, if you've got enough board, if your board's thicker, you can make a tenon on here, which is a very good, safe way to hold it in the chuck. I'm going to use a recess. You could also do this on a face plate, but it would probably be best to glue a waste block on here and then screw it to the face plate or vice versa. And you could also put a waste block on here and turn a tenon on it. And as Jim mentioned earlier, if your board is flat enough, you can use a high quality double face tape. I've had pretty good luck with the outdoor carpet tape I have gotten at Menards. It's got the fiber in it, or the stuff I got, it's got the fiber. It's not just...
Does it have holes that's like an X?
No.
Like woven?
No, it doesn't. Not what I got. But
Or this mine was like... That's that real thin stuff.
I'm going to start the lathe slow and bring it up.
Everything clear?
Generally on a plate, it's just dust. Generally on a plate, on a bowl, you would have a 30 to, usually 35 to 40, a foot, 35 to 40% of your diameter. On a plate, you need to be wider than that, depending on how much rim you're going to put on the front. But if you're going to bring the rim like Jim's over there, if you're going to have just a small rim up here, you about need 70% here. So the rule of thumb is 50 to 70% of the diameter of the plate for the base, for the foot. I want to face this off a little bit because I want to put a recess in there. Start doing a little bit of my shaping. might decorate this, so I might put a 1.25 true up the end too, so you know what your diameter is, what you got to work with. After I reverse turn it, I might have to take off a little bit more, so if it's not quite round, but you want enough that you can see, kind of see what your finished size is going to be.
What size diameter to start with?
Pardon?
What size diameter to start with?
8 and 3/16. It's 8 1/8 now. It was 8 and 3/16, I swear. I took off 1/16. It was a little over 8, Pat.
That's 16 off both sides of it.
So I need at least a 4-inch. That'd only be 50%. But I need, I'll probably go a little more than that. I'll go out here a little ways and make, oh, there's a little bit of burl in here. I'll go maybe 60%. I'll start doing some shaping. I got quite a bit of wood here for a plate, so I can do a lot of things. I can even take more off if my design came to me that I wanted to do that way. You can taper the rim up all the way. You can do whatever you want. Jim has several, and they can be passed around. You can see these. Well, you guys probably looked at them all ago, but several different ideas there. I think I'm going to decorate this one, so I'm going to taper it up quite a bit. This is dry cherry, so you don't get the curls, you get like wet cherry. Now I've got just a slight wobble, but the same as I do a bowl, I like to know where the top is going to be, or might be. So I'll take a little bit off, going straight in, 90 degree on the flute. 89, because you want a little bit of gap here. Make sure you got new wood all the way around. Good to go. Most likely when I turn this around, it won't be centered the same. But if it was very close, or if you're used to doing it a certain way and it's always very close, you could go ahead and sand all this and put a finish on it if you wanted to. Same way you could make your recess and you could finish it also. Some people do. Improvise. Who had that skew out here a while ago? Bob?
Bob.
I might need to borrow your skis. Well, I might have, I got a little one, I think. Possibly. I have it ready.
Use the Thompson so we can see how good they work.
Yeah, actually, I got what I need. Thank you. Make your recess. Now, I could actually, this is on the lower range of the lathe. I could actually turn this, put this on a higher lathe, and I could do some things a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner. Now, if your board is only 3/4 of an inch, and the time you trued it up, it might be pretty thin. So that's another good reason to use a glue block on here, because otherwise you cutting this in a little ways, you might get in trouble. I'm going to be using a thick bark, so I want a tapered hole here on the recess. I want the bottom to be as flat as I can, where the chuck is going to be hitting on the top of the jaws. Generally on a small plate I don't go this deep. It doesn't have to be this deep unless your jaws have a lot of nicks in them. It don't take a whole lot to hold it with light cuts.
Is that angle real critical?
It's not real critical. Yeah, it's 10 degrees I think. I ain't never measured one. They make tools for that. It's a waste. You don't need that. You just guesstimate it. Most of the times when you're using tenons, and a lot of times when you're using recesses, it's wet wood and it's going to compress very easily and do what you want anyway. Possibly on this hard cherry or the maple, maybe the tin, if it was accurate, may give it more holding strength. Go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Shear scrape. You could also use a negative rake scraper there, and you get little things like that. You can eliminate your ridges if you have some. I'm not going to do any sanding here tonight, but I would go ahead and, I may or may not sand it this time. Sometimes maybe most of the time, do all my sanding at one time while it's mounted the other way. So I got my recess, and now I can turn it around and put it in the chuck the other way. I don't make a whole lot of plates this small. And so usually I use a face plate screwed in there because I usually have more thickness, and I don't have to worry about my screw hose not disappearing. Might drill that hole through your waist.